God damn, that's a beautiful song. Beautiful rendition of the Eagles fight song. I am your host, Sean Harrigan. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Iggles Nest podcast. We are fresh off of the 2020 NFL draft. We're going to be breaking down all the picks, getting into some of the offseason action, and looking ahead to the 2021 season. First, I just had to give a plug to the artist that brought us that beautiful rendition of that song. Cousin of mine, actually, as well, William J. Higgins. You can find his music over at williamjhiggins.com. Make sure you go out, support all his music, and check out everything he's got going on over there. Thank you very much for that beautiful song, Will. And with that, we're going to get into just a little bit of an introduction to the show. So this is going to be, for now, we are in the off season of the NFL season. Obviously, we just had the draft, but other than that, not a lot is going on right now. So over the next couple months until things start ramping up, you'll see this show maybe bi-weekly, however we're going to do it, a little bit less than usual, but once the season is in full swing, I'll be here every Sunday breaking down, game footage, everything going on with that. So, just a little bit about how the show is going to work. Like I said, game recaps, breaking news, trades, releases, controversies. There's plenty of that going on right now with the way this draft went, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. If you are just joining us with the Cinescape Media Network, if you've never seen any of our programming before, like I said, I am Sean Harrigan. I will be your host for this show. If you have seen me on different shows before on the network, whether it's the Cinescape podcast, Mike's at the Round Table, anything like that, welcome back. Thanks for finding out more of our great content. So I'm happy to be acquainted and reacquainted with some of you, and I hope you're going to find the show in your taste. Like I said, this is for Eagles fans only. If you're a stinking Dallas Cowboys cockroach fan, I want you to leave right now and never come back. Not really. Well, I mean, you can listen if you want. It's not really going to be beneficial to you, but we'll see how that goes. So like I said, today on this first episode, I am going to be breaking down some of the transactions that have gone on this offseason, free agent signings, trades, things like that. We're going to be talking a lot about the draft, and then we're going to be looking ahead to the 2020-2021 season. That's a lot of 20s in there, but we'll see how we do with that. First off, let's take a look at what's been going on in the realm of transactions over this off season. Let me get out my handy dandy notes here. All right, so like I said, we're going to go over some transactions, signings, free agent signings, people that we've lost, people that we've traded away. So let's get right into it. We're going to go on the free agents that we have re-signed. First up, quarterback Nate Sudfeld. We re-signed him to a one-year contract extension, so he is one of the backups. We've also had re-signed punter Cameron Johnson, also got a one-year contract. Defensive tackle Hassan Ridgeway, also one-year contract. Jalen Mills was brought back. He's going to be a kind of hybrid safety defensive back. He's here on a one-year deal as well. And then Rodney McLeod, safety, also got a new 2-year deal. So the back end of the secondary seems to be shored up with McLeod and Mills back there. We're going to see where we're going to plug and play some of these new additions that we're going to be talking about just now. So let's get right into that. Some of the free agents that we have signed this year. Defensive back Will Parks, we brought in on a one-year deal. He's going to compete for a starting job on the outside as well. We have a linebacker to add, Jatavis Brown. He got the league minimum of $910,000 for a one-year deal. Defensive tackle Javon Hargrave got a 3-year deal coming over from the Steelers, and we also signed former Ram cornerback Nikel Roby-Coleman to a 1-year deal as well. So right off the bat there, we have 2 corners that are going to be vying for one of the top spots. We know that Mills is going to be moving back into the back end of the secondary there, so spots opening up. We still have Vontae Maddox, you still have Sidney Jones out there going to be competing. Rasul Douglas is on the team for now. We'll see what they want to do with him. There's been rumors that he's been on the trade block for at least a couple weeks. They're trying to move him. I really think they've done Rasul Douglas a real disservice. He is not a cornerback. He is a safety through and through. He is too big and too slow to play on the outside. So that's great management there, team. Let's take a look at some of the guys that we have lost, maybe where they went, if they've gone anywhere. Some are still remained unsigned. Our stellar lineup of linebackers here. Camus Grugier-Hill, we lost him. Yeah, he had a little bit of injury issues last year, but he is gone. He signed with the Dolphins. Big one, big loss, not only a safety, he's kind of a linebacker hybrid as well, and he was the heart and soul of the Philadelphia defense. Malcolm Jenkins has gone and returned back to New Orleans where he came from. That's going to be a really big void to fill. Maybe some of the guys that we brought in are moving around or even drafted. Nobody's going to be able to fill Jenks' shoes. So that's going to be a real big loss. I understand that the money just wasn't adding up to where he wanted it and where we wanted it to be. So it was time to move on. I agree with the monetary for reasoning only. But it's always tough to lose a player. You think back when we lost Brian Dawkins and he went to the Broncos. That was a hole that really still has never been filled. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins, I would say, is definitely still a step down from where Doc was. We'll see what we can do with that. Running back stable has lost one with Jordan Howard. He's also down with the Dolphins. Probably to the joy and the prayers have been answered. Nelson Aguilar is gone. We no longer have to watch him drop balls. We no longer have to watch him try to track balls and totally not go anywhere near where they're going and start blaming lights and other people for his suckiness. So he is gone. He is out in Vegas, not Oakland. He is out in Vegas with the Raiders, where they're going to be starting their new life as a new franchise out there. Big V. We lost Big V to the Lions. Really big, important position. Not only was he a left tackle, but he was your swing man on that offensive line. He could really do a lot of things and fill in a lot of holes if other guys went down. Maybe not the most talented guy in the world, but you look at the Super Bowl year and how he stepped in for Peters and ensured that left side of the lineup. So I think that is going to be one of the bigger pieces that we have lost that we're hopefully not going to be able to see how big of a hole that is, assuming everybody else steps up and does their job and stays healthy. But losing a guy like Big V who can really fill a lot of holes like that is something that you want to avoid if you can. But money talks. So here's where we are. We lost a corner in Ronald Darby. I don't think anybody else is going to be upset about that one either. If you want to throw a deep ball against the Eagles, you know what side of the field to go to. That's all I need to say about that. Defensive tackle Timmy Jernigan is gone. When we first signed him and shored up that defensive front, he and Fletch kind of traded off and really gave quarterbacks a hard time there and offensive linemen. But he was another guy, just couldn't stay healthy. And then, when he did, his production kind of dropped off when he came back. So he's gone. Richard Rodgers, tight end. He's your 12th tight end on the roster. Don't need him. Then we have a bunch of unsigned players currently. We don't know if they're looking at bringing any of these guys back onto the roster, if they're going to be signed anywhere else. Let's go through them. Corey Clement, one of the heroes of the Super Bowl, undrafted rookie out of the draft 2017. Hasn't caught on anywhere yet. We'll see if maybe he's back in the lineup come training camp, but as for now, he is currently unsigned. Linebacker Nigel Bradham, really the only linebacker that we had on the team that had any kind of talent. You got your Nate Gary out there. You lost Camus as well. So we're going to see what that linebacker core looks like. We obviously know, going back quite a number of years now, that the Eagles do not seem to value the linebacker position very much. Not investing a lot of high draft picks, big free agent signings, trades, things like that. So Nigel is gone. He had couple good years with us. Vinny Curry came back, left, came back, left, came back, left. He's gone again. Thank you, Vinny, for all your help. Josh McCown, I still think his leg is all torn up from that playoff game where he hurt himself by being old. He is currently not signed anywhere. He's probably going to be coaching your son's Pee Wee football league somewhere down the line here. Jason Peters. Jason Peters is currently Still unsigned. No word on if he definitely wants to keep playing. Yeah, whether it's with us at a lesser deal with another team, or if he plans on retiring. He's getting up there. He's in his mid-30s now. Guy's made a lot of money. He should be a first-ballot Hall of Famer by the time his turn rolls around. Definitely one of the better acquisitions that we've had in the modern era of Eagles football. Peters isn't here anymore, and maybe he started getting a little long in the tooth for the last couple of years. In and out of the lineup, pulling himself off the field, putting himself back in. But the guy's a warrior, and he gave everything he had with everything that he did have. So, if we have seen the last of Jason Peters, we want to applaud him. Thank you for your service, Jason. And we have Darren Sproles, who actually did retire from the league. A little Spitfire Darren Sproles. When he was in there and he was healthy, he was a guy that could really do a lot of things, whether it's in the running game, passing game, return game, whatever it was. How do you tackle a guy that you can't see where he is behind some of the taller guys along the line? It gives him quite an opportunity to be slippery and kind of get out there into space. But his time has come as well. So Darren, thank you for your service to the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL as well. It was a pleasure and a joy watching you play over the years, especially with us. Going along the lines of trades. Now, one of them does involve the draft. There was some trading going on at the draft, but we'll stick to off-season, pre-draft trades right now. When we just have one to talk about. Another big one, we were talking about corners a little bit ago. We signed Will Parks and Nickel Roby-Coleman to one-year deals to compete. Maybe we were thinking for both outside spots. No, that is not the case. They'll both be competing for one spot or a nickel spot because we have acquired defensive back Darius Slay from the Detroit Lions in exchange for 3rd and 5th round picks in this current draft that just passed. He was also signed to a 3-year extension, keeping him here through 2023. Darius Slay was definitely a guy that the Eagles seem to have been targeting throughout the offseason. Wanted to get out of a bad situation in Detroit. He's one of these guys that you always see them on good players on bad teams, and you always kind of feel bad for them. You're never going to see them make the playoffs or win anything just because they're always stuck in mediocrity or worse. But he got out of there, and he's going to be suiting up for the good guys this year, so it's going to be nice to see, and definitely looking forward to seeing us having a true shutdown defensive back there, whether he can play a zone or press or man, whatever he wants to do. I think he's going to be more apt, and I don't think you're going to be seeing him getting beaten on double moves like a Jalen Mills would. So that's another big one. I do have one more draft, like I said, one more trade, but it did happen during the draft. We might as well just get into that. We're going to do draft picks coming up here just now. Let's go through it right now. Since we're talking about trades and drafting, we did have a trade during the draft. We have acquired wide receiver Marquise Goodwin and the 210th overall pick in the 2020 draft from the 49ers in exchange for the 190th overall pick. So we added some much needed speed to a receiving core that had trouble separating, that had trouble running routes, that had trouble holding on to balls when thrown right in their breadbaskets. We had a lot of trouble with our receiving core this past year. Now, maybe it might not bode so well looking at it on paper. It seemed like the Niners probably would have given this guy away for a pack of gum. Didn't really give anything away for him in the trade. So we'll see what he has left in the tank. Last 2 years he's kind of been hampered by injury. We'll see if he's recovered enough and going to be put in a good spot to go out there and make some plays this year. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing him compete for a job. I believe right now on the roster, after everything's said and done, we have, I want to say there's 14 wide receivers on the roster right now. And it's kind of a far cry from where we ended the year last year when we were just picking up guys off the street to come in and play in a playoff game. So the more the merrier, I guess. More darts to throw at the board. One of them's going to stick around. So that's good to see. So like I said, we are in draft mode right now. We'll go through each round. I don't have a full break down on all of these guys, which is okay. All right, so I'm going to highlight the picks from the rounds, and then we'll go into some of our outside sources and talk about some gradings. I mean, it's kind of unfair to grade a draft pick and seeing them never have played a single snap for the team that they're drafted for, but we'll kind of go along the lines of what everybody's thinking and where they're going to be going with everything. So first round, we sat at the number 21 pick heading into the draft. We did see some trades going on before us. Obviously going in, the consensus pick by the fan base at least was that we wanted to have a stud wide receiver. There was a really, really deep draft class this year for wide receivers, and we wanted one of them. We wanted one of the top ones, and it seemed to be falling into place for us. The first round was filled with, you had a couple really, the top quarterbacks go. You had a lot of offensive tackles go. You had some defensive players going, and then the receivers didn't start going until after pick 10. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to get one of these guys here. I'm going to get a CD Lamb who might be dropping here, or a Ruggs. The Raiders kind of jumped the shark a little bit. Everybody thought they were in on CD Lamb. They wound up taking Ruggs. And then Jerry Jones, the son of a bitch, snaked us. I think it was a little bit of payback for the Dallas Goedert pick from a couple of years ago. Just ahead of us, he wound up taking CeeDee Lamb, adding to his wide receiving core. He's got Amari Cooper, he's got Michael Gallup, and now he's got CeeDee Lamb on top of Dak and Zeke. So that Cowboys offense is going to be a little bit more challenging next year. If they go 8-8 next year, maybe Jerry should wind up firing himself. But we did eventually get around to number 21, which is going to bring us to our first pick here, Jalen Reagor out of TCU. Now, transparency, a couple of my buddies and I, we were sitting around doing our own version of our virtual watch party for this virtual draft. We were on a video chat conference call. When the pick came in, it was kind of strange because none of us, there were 6 of us on the line, I believe. None of us knew who this guy really was. So we weren't outraged by the pick. We weren't happy with the pick. It was kind of an indifferent feeling. By all accounts, this does seem like a guy that you could have traded back into either the late first round or early second round, and still had this guy sitting there being able to take. So if that was the case, you would have been able to pick up another pick, whether second, third round, whatever it may be. So this is a little bit of a head scratcher here for Howie. Maybe taking for need in a position where he didn't want to bumble anything by trading back or trading up. We're going to go over some of his comments a little bit later about some of these players that they took in the first couple of rounds here. But it's definitely a head scratcher. If you're taking a second round talent with your first round pick, you got to question what the real motivation is there. A little bit strange. By all accounts, he's a Deshaun Jackson type player in both size and speed. Very similar there coming out of TCU. So it is going to be exciting with the prospect of such a dynamic playmaking ability, player with playmaking ability to be out there flying around and give Carson a little bit of room to open up the field and kind of let it fly, let it rip, and see what happens. So we'll see what happens with that one. Number 2 pick, round 2, pick number 53 is Jalen Hurts, quarterback. That's right, you heard me right, quarterback. Not a wide receiver, not a safety, not a corner, a quarterback. Don't really know what to say about this pick. I have a lot to say about this pick, but it's not good. I want to break down Jalen Hurts a little bit more, so we're going to continue along. I'm just going to read some of the remaining picks, and then we'll jump back into this pick in a few minutes. Round 3, we had linebacker Davion Taylor coming out of Colorado with the 103rd pick in round 3. Round 4, pick 127, we got a safety, Kayvon Wallace, and he's going to provide some depth back there in the safety spot as well. We'll see how they're going to integrate some of the new additions to that that defensive secondary and see what's going to look like back there. Round 4, pick 145, tackle Jack Driscoll out of Auburn. Never a bad idea to reinvest in your offensive line. Famous guy said, the offensive linemen are the biggest guys on the field because they go up against the biggest guys on the field. So Jack Driscoll's a big guy going up against other big guys. So we'll see how he does. 5th round, pick 168, we have another wide receiver, another speedster, John Hightower coming out of Boise State. This is another one. Really, he's a burner. Maybe not one of the bigger guys out there, but he's going to be able to stretch the field, and this kind of seems like the theme that we're going with the picks and the trade that we made so far. Really speedy guys. We had 3 picks in the 6th round. We'll start off with pick 196. Sean Bradley, not to be confused with Sean Bradley from the Sixers, but this one's a Temple linebacker, so we desperately need some depth there in the linebacking core. So we'll see if this Sean Bradley is any better at his sport than the basketball playing Sean Bradley was for the other Philadelphia team. Second pick in round 6 was pick 200. Quez Watkins, another speedy wide receiver. I'm going to get sick of saying that, I feel. Out of Southern Miss. And then their final pick in the 6th round, pick 210. We have some royalty coming into the locker room here. He's a Nigerian Prince Tego Wanoho. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's also another tackle out of Auburn. I guess him and Driscoll were teammates in college, so why not just draft the whole offensive line from Auburn? We'll get them all in here. Great. And then we ended out the 2020 virtual draft with a defensive end out of Stanford, Casey Toohill, edge rusher, project player, which seems, obviously when you're getting later in these rounds, you're going to see a lot of these project players, fringe guys, hybrid guys. Chances are most of them aren't going to make the roster anyway, but it looks good on paper when you say you filled a need. Aside from the actual players that have been added and subtracted from the roster, we also had a number of coaching changes. Rich Scangarello has been brought in as senior offensive assistant. Press Taylor has been named, this is funny, the passing game coordinator / quarterbacks coach. Notice I didn't say offensive coordinator. I said passing game coordinator because apparently we don't need an offensive coordinator. Matt Burke has been brought in as the run game coordinator / defensive line coach. Okay, sounds good. Marquand Manuel, former, I believe he played for the Falcons if I'm not mistaken. He's been brought in as our new defensive backs coach. Former wide receiver, I believe he played for the Colts. Aaron Moorhead is brought in as our new wide receivers coach. We need a new one of those every year because they seem to be terrible. Andrew Briner is the pass game analyst. TJ Paganetti, assistant run game coordinator / assistant running backs coach. Dino Vasso, assistant coordinator / defensive coordinator. And they brought back a staple from the Andy Reid era. We have Marty Morningweg being brought back as a senior offensive analyst. So whatever that means, I guess they have not enough people that can tell Doug what to do. Okay, so with that, we've gone over some of the additions and subtractions from the offseason here. We've gone over some draft stuff, but I do want to get back to the second pick. I mean, this pick is a very polarizing and controversial pick, not only just for the fact that you took a quarterback in a draft when you have a franchise quarterback, because you should be taking quarterbacks. You're going to need backup players. You're going to need insurance policies, label it whatever you'd like. They just signed Carson Wentz last year to a $100 million plus guaranteed 4-year contract extension. And then they went and took this player in the second round with the 53rd overall pick when they had a lot of other holes to fill. So this pick is not sitting well with myself. It is not sitting well with a lot of the fans out there. It is not sitting well with a lot of the analysts out there, post-game guys, whatever it may be. I wanted to highlight a couple of Howie's quotes. After the second round from the first night, they did. He and Doug had held a press conference, a virtual, kind of Zoom thing. So they did have some members of the Philadelphia media asking questions. The first one I want to get to, just his opening statements here. He talks about Carson and how this could possibly affect him. Let's take a listen.
Hey guys, thanks for taking the time. I know originally we said we would do this after our last pick, but obviously with this pick here, we wanted to get to you and be available to answer your questions. When Coach Peterson came in, we sat down in 2016. We said we were always going to be about the quarterback position. That it was the most important position in sports. And we were very fortunate to get a young Pro Bowl quarterback in Carson Wentz. And our goal is to surround him with as many good people as we possibly can, as many good players as we possibly can. And so for us in this pick, when we sat and we talked about it as a smaller group and we looked at where we were on the board and what was the thing that we believed in the most and what were the kind of people that we believed in the most, Jalen stood out in all those regards. And we think he is an incredible teammate. He's got a lot to learn here, obviously. We've shown how we feel about Carson by our actions. We showed it by the amount of picks we put into him, and we showed it by the contract extension. And we believe this is the guy to lead us to our next Super Bowl championship. But for better or worse, we are quarterback developers. We want to be a quarterback factory. We have the right people in place to do that. No team in the National Football League has benefited more but from developing quarterbacks than the Philadelphia Eagles. And so we just, when we make these kind of decisions, we always go to our principles and who we are and what we believe in, and right or wrong, this is who we are. And earlier today, I spoke to Carson about the options at this pick, and one of them was Jalen, so he had a heads up ahead of time. And, we're sitting here at the end of the second round. This is not, in the first round pick. This is at the end of the second round. And I think, when we looked at it, the difference between taking someone at the end of the second round and maybe in the middle of the third round with the way our board was, we just felt like this was the right thing to do and the right thing to do based on our beliefs.
Okay, so a lot to unpack in there. We have ourselves a proclaimed quarterback factory. The Philadelphia Eagles have been the number one recipients of pumping out these quarterbacks and getting value for them, apparently. I don't know where I've been for the last 20 years. I must have missed all that. But a lot to go over, and I did a lot of... I did some nerdy stuff last night, and I got an Excel spreadsheet going. I wanted to take down this factory. I wanted to debunk this factory. So I'm going to go back not only from Howie's tenure as GM, starting in 2010. I'm going to go back to the 2000 season. So I'm going to start from the new millennium, Y2K on. I'm going to go through each draft, talk about where quarterbacks were taken, and how our so-called factory has been beneficial to us. So going back, we did not take a quarterback in the year 2000. That was the year after McNabb was drafted. So let's go to 2001. We took A.J. Feely in the 5th round at pick number 155. He was actually on the team twice. He also played for Miami, St. Louis, San Diego, Carolina. We wound up trading him in 2005 for a 2nd-round pick. Okay, so you got a guy in the 5th round. Traded him out for a 2nd-round pick. Okay, great. Howie's absolutely right. But what did we do with that? We took Reggie Brown. Great pick, Reggie Brown. Thank you. No quarterbacks in 02, 03. We're going to go to 04. I'll give you $10 if you can even remember this guy's name. Andy Hall. He was a 6th-round pick at number 185. This was the only team that he played for, if you want to call it that. In 2005, he was allocated to NFL Europe and then played in the Arena League until 2008. Great job at developing your quarterbacks and getting value for them down the line there, Howie. Great job. No quarterbacks taken 05, 06, so let's go up to 07. We have Kevin Cobb taken in the 2nd round at pick number 36. Okay, so this was going to be McNabb's successor. He wound up getting whacked around by Clay Matthews a little bit in that Packer game and was never really right after that. He went to Arizona after that and finished out his career in Buffalo. In 2011, we traded him to the Cardinals for Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and a second-round pick, which we would later trade picks for compensation to get Vinny Curry and Brandon Boykin. Vinny Curry, who we said we just released for the second time, and Brandon Boykin, I don't believe has been in the league for a number of years now. So I'm not really going to call that a success one either, Howie. So you basically didn't really get too much for a second-round pick that you swapped out. Cool. No picks in 08-09, going up to 2010 now. We had Mike Kafka picked in the fourth round at number 122. You might remember Mike Kafka from the this past offseason where people wanted him to come and be on our offensive coordinator. No, he is still in the Kansas City coaching staff. He also played for the Pats, Jags, Bucks, Vikings, Titans, Bengals. And what did we get for him investing a fourth-round pick in our factory, churning it out for a better deal? We got nothing. We absolutely just flat-out released him, got no compensation for him whatsoever. Cool. 2011, no quarterbacks taken. 2012, Nick Foles, third round, 88th pick. He had the first stint with us, the 27-2 year, and then traded away. He was traded away for 2 picks for the Rams that wound up bringing Sam Bradford and swapping picks, yada, yada, yada. Brought us Carson Wentz, helped bring us a Super Bowl. This is probably the only quarterback on this list that you're going to hear me say, okay, this fits the mold of their quarterback factory. And when I'm thinking about it, this is probably the only quarterback that Howie actually really meant, of what he said in the presser, because as you can see, pretty much everything else is garbage. The very next year in 2013, he took Matt Barkley in the fourth round, pick number 98. He had 2 stints with us, 2 stints with the Cardinals, Bears, Niners, Bengals. He's still with Buffalo right now somehow. We traded him in 2015 for a conditional 7th-round pick. 4th rounder turned into a conditional 7th-round pick. Keep that factory churning. No pick in 14. Chip Kelly was our de facto GM in 2015. There was no quarterback taken there. And then Chip had his unceremonious ousting after that. Howie's back in the driver's seat. They wound up trading up and getting Carson Wentz, that huge mega first round, move up day. First pick or second pick in the first round. Interestingly, he was given a 4-year, like I said earlier, he was given a 4-year, $144 million contract extension just last year. I believe there's $107.9 million guaranteed in that contract. 27 years old at this time. Obviously, we know the injury history. He stayed healthy all throughout last year. Call it what you will. He took a cheap shot in that playoff game, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. I don't count that along the lines of breaking ribs or tearing an ACL or any of the other injuries that he's had. That's it wasn't an act of God. It was an act of cheating, but we'll leave that there. So Carson Wentz, great pick. 2017, 2018, nothing. 2019, just last year, we selected 5th rounder Clayton Thorson with the 167th pick and waived him just a few months after picking him. He is now a Dallas Cowboy. So we also got nothing for that pick. And here we are sitting with Jalen Hurts at number 53 in the second round. Now, interestingly, the reason I wanted to do this was to show the kind of BS that Howie's spitting out here, saying that we are, or we want to be a quarterback factory. No other team has been as benefited from this kind of thing than the Eagles have. What have we really gained? Outside of the Nick Foles stuff, we have gained nothing. So I'm going back 20 years, Howie. 20 years of data, not 3, 4, 5 years, 20. You've been here, I believe this is your 21st year. So pretty much your entire tenure, this is what we have to show for it. Not much. I also broke things down a little bit more. I found the average draft round for quarterbacks that have been taken since the 2001 draft, and then compared it to Jalen Hurts, where he was at. Obviously, he's a second round pick at number 53. He was, our average draft round for quarterback is actually round 4, and our average draft position for quarterbacks is 100.6. So he was taken 2 rounds earlier and about half the time as normally quarterbacks are taken. Now, we know that Carson was given an extension last year, so this really doesn't bode well for what I believe to be their outlook on Carson's future as a Philadelphia Eagle. I think they're absolutely worried about his health. There's no other way around it. And I do have some more clips here. One of my favorite questions of the night was from, if you're a Philly sports guy, Les Bowen. I'm not going to play his one yet, but this next one I want to play is, one of the reporters asks just how Jalen is going to be used, Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he's not going to be lining up under center while Carson's out in the field and healthy. So just what are we planning on doing with him? Let's find out.
Hey, for Howie and Doug, I guess, because we've talked about a lot about the evolution of offensive football and how the game is changing. Taysom Hill in New Orleans, even I think John Harbaugh talked about putting 2 quarterbacks on the field at one time. Do you see a unique skill set that will let you open up the offense in any way?
Yeah, John, I think this player, obviously with Jalen Hurts, I mean, he has a unique skill set, and you see what Taysom Hill has done in New Orleans, and how he and Drew Brees have really have a connection there and a bond there. And you even look at when Flacco and Lamar in Baltimore for the short period of time, how they gelled together. It's just something we're going to explore. I want to make a point here. First and foremost, that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and he was drafted as a quarterback, and he's a quarterback first, but he has a unique skill set that he's a great runner. Obviously, he throws well on the run. He's got a unique set of skills that we're going to take a look at as we keep developing this off season and this advancement, so to speak, as we get ready for training camp.
Thank you, Doug. I don't know if we got a quarterback or Liam Neeson playing back there for us. He's got a particular set of skills. They're trying to make these reaches with the Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco thing, or the Taysom Hill, Drew Brees thing. Just wanted to remind everybody how much both of those teams won with that. How many Super Bowls they won? Combined 0. Okay, cool. Moving on. Howie was also asked about value of draft picks here. Let's hear his answer on that.
Yes, Howie. I'm following up on your opening statement about the value of the pick. You said this is not a first-round pick, but do you go into a draft with the second-round pick with the expectation that player becomes a starter under his rookie contract? And was this a pick you were not willing to sacrifice in trade negotiations last night?
Yeah, I think when you talk about it again, there's no team that's got more value from the quarterback positions than the Philadelphia Eagles. And
when?
We talked about it, and obviously, that's a factor. Our history is a factor, and that's the most important position in sports. And
I don't know where he's getting this information. I mean, we just went over the quarterbacks that he's taken. If you'd like, we can sit down and look at every draft pick that he's ever had. Most of them wouldn't be good. He's traditionally been a absolutely terrible drafter. So the information he's pulling out of his rear end right now is kind of just mind-boggling. I alluded to Les Bowen's question a little bit ago. I want to play that one now. This one's just great. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, Howie, you mentioned Nick Foles a minute ago. I think we all know that wasn't a long-term situation that could be comfortable, and that was why Nick Foles was allowed to go elsewhere. It seems like you're kind of setting up the same situation again with a highly regarded quarterback coming in, and every incomplete pass that Carson Wentz throws will be people will be looking at Jalen Hurts. Why do you want to do that?
Well, I don't agree with that. I think that Carson's a phenomenal player, and we think Carson's a phenomenal player. And, nobody's going to be looking at a rookie quarterback as somebody who's going to be taking over a Pro Bowl quarterback, a guy who's been on the cusp of winning an MVP. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to go back to who we are and what we believe in. We believe in the quarterback position. We believe, like this guy, that when we saw our board and we looked over the guys that we thought we could pick at this point, the board had kind of gone in a different direction, and we just felt like, we are stewards of the organization. Our job is to make sure that the organization is strong at the positions we believe in. That's O-line and D-line. We put resources into both those positions. We'll continue to put resources into those positions and the quarterback positions. And, again, we'll continue to put weapons around our starting quarterback, our Pro Bowl starting quarterback. But we felt like when we got off this call and we met as a small group, this was the direction we wanted to go, and we felt like this was the right move for the Philadelphia Eagles going forward.
I feel like once every offensive series, Carson should just snap the ball, throw it right over to Jalen Hurts standing on the sideline or sitting on the bench and waste it down, because that's what this pick is. It is an absolute waste. He's not going to be out there playing quarterback and taking Carson off the field. Maybe he'll get into the game for a wildcat play here or there. I mean, is that worth a second-round draft pick at number 53? I mean, you had guys out there that you could have traded for and used your first or second-round pick to come in and make an immediate impact, whether it was Minka Fitzpatrick, whether it was Yannick Ngakoue, whether it was Jalen Ramsey, or more recently, and it seems like you could have had him for a bag of peanuts, with DeAndre Hopkins. Was our first and second round picks that we actually did take, were they worth more than having a DeAndre Hopkins on this receiving core? Because if it is, then Howie's a genius. But if it's not, I mean, I don't know what else to say. When you have your philosophies, that's one thing, and you take things for the way that they present themselves on your draft board. But when you're looking at a guy who isn't going to come in and help you in any real way this coming season, and you spend a second round pick on it, that's an injustice. It's an indictment, and it just shows you for the last 21 years that Howie's been part of our drafting core, that he doesn't know what he's doing. Doesn't belong to be in that position. If he wants to go back to that broom closet he got demoted to while Chip Kelly was here and start, cutting checks to people and doing contract negotiations, that's fine by me. He can pull off a big deal. He can pull off a trade. He can sign a free agent. He can work the books, move money around, back-end contracts, things like that. But when it comes down to drafting and assessing talent to bring onto the roster to improve the roster, Howie Roseman is not the man for this job. He's showed it every year. Every single year. I mean, like I said, if you want to go back and look at every single draft, you're going to find just a ton of dreck out there. You're going to have your receivers taken too high. You're going to have your Marcus Smiths of the world. You're going to have quarterbacks that they brought through their quarterback factory and got nothing for. Nothing. And we're going to stand up here and lie to everybody's face and say that we have benefited the most out of this practice that we've been putting into action for such a long time. So beneficial. We've won so many Super Bowls because of it. We've had so many great drafts because of it. We've won so many games because of it. So many division titles because of it. And it's all a lie. Howie Roseman thinks he is smarter than every other GM out there. And he shows it. Like when he said he showed Carson what they thought of him by investing picks in him and signing to a big contract with big money. He also showed them what they thought about him when they drafted Jalen Hurts with a second-round draft pick in this year's draft. Is Howie the right GM for this job? No. No, he is not. He doesn't belong. Like I said, if he wants to negotiate contracts and do some back-end bookkeeping, great. Let him do it. But when it comes to assessing talent, that's going to help this roster win this year. I'm not looking for 5 years down the line. I want this year. I don't want to be complacent. I don't want to have that Super Bowl hangover like we had, where everybody was okay with us not playing well, not doing well. And especially if you're looking at not doing your job well, Howie's known for pulling off the big trades and signing the big free agents. Look at what he did. He hampered us with the Alshon Jeffrey contract that we would be lucky to get out of at this point. He gave big money to Deshaun Jackson, who played one game and got hurt. Howie has crippled us financially, and he has hampered our ability to reinvest in ourselves through the draft for too many years now. And it's time for him to go. It is time for him to go. So moving on from the draft, before we get out of here, obviously with everything going on with the coronavirus, shutting down team facilities, we just had to have the draft held virtually. I mean, we're looking at Mike Vrabel's family, sitting in their basement with somebody who you could clearly see in the reflection of a mirror, with their pants down, sitting on the toilet. So that's where we've come. With our NFL virtual draft. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like I said, we got to, do our video conference call with some people, and that was a lot of fun. But we don't know, when this is all going to end. We don't know if, regular OTAs are going to be occurring as they normally do. I know Sean Payton from the Saints said they're not holding things. He himself had the virus. You have guys like Von Miller has the virus. We don't know if training camp's going to be held. We don't know if the season's even going to start or start on time or if they're going to play at all. I mean, there's just too many unknowns right now. But hopefully we can get back to a sense of normalcy sooner than later. We can get back to our lives sooner than later, and we can get back to football sooner than later, because what we had to sit around and wait for as Eagles fans with this draft, and you can say they made some good picks on day 3, but if you're the best drafting team on day 3 and you're holding that in high regard, you're probably going to be the best player on the golf course in the offseason as well. So let's take a look at how our team has improved. Our wide receiving core, we added a lot of speed to. For a group that couldn't get open last year, you got to think that's at least an upgrade there. Whether or not they can actually catch, we'll have to wait and see. Who makes the cut, who's going to be lining up for Carson to throw to come week 1 of next season. Will they be able to get rid of Alshon? Will Deshaun be back and 100% healthy? Will Arcega-Whiteside be able to catch a ball? There's a lot of unknowns. Going back to our defensive, our defensive players. We lost Jank, we lost some linebackers, we added some depth. I do have a feeling that our secondary is going to be better. Bringing in the free agents that we have, and especially trading for Slay, I think that's going to shore a lot of things up. And if you look at it, I mean, our defense wasn't bad last year. They weren't great, but they weren't letting 30 points a game up. I mean, we lost to Seattle 19-7 twice. You hold a team under 20 points, good chance that you're going to win it as long as you score more than a touchdown. So I really don't think defense was the biggest issue last year. And if anything, I do think that we got better. We may not, maybe a little bit lacking on the edge rushers and the upfront play. But the secondary, I feel like, is going to hold. If you can. The line, the secondary play off of each other. One benefits when the other one's doing their job, and it goes both ways. It's reciprocal. If receivers can't get open, the quarterback's going to have to hold the ball. If the quarterback's holding the ball, the defensive line's going to get there. So we'll see what they can do. Definitely still worried about the linebacking core. Obviously, the Eagles aren't, because we really don't care about that position. But it is what it is. So coming away from everything, I feel like our defensive players are in a better position to succeed right now than our offense has been given. Like I said, that Jalen Hurts pick really hurts, because he could have added another skill guy, or it could have been a defensive guy too. You could have added another higher position wide receiver than what we got. There are plenty out there. And you look at the quarterbacks that went a little bit later past us. If we wanted to develop them, we could have done that too. So, yeah, I'm chalking this all up to that they just don't have confidence in Carson staying healthy. They've seen it happen too many times, I guess. But, it is what it is. And that's going to do it for us today. I want to know your guys' thoughts on a lot of the topics that I talked about today. How do you feel about the 2020 draft? How do you feel about some of the picks and us going forward? Is there any other moves that you'd like to see made, whether it's via trade or picking up somebody who's still currently unsigned? And then, are we going to be able to start the season on time or at all with the virus going on? So there's a lot to, really a lot to unpack with this first episode here, and I definitely want to hear from all you guys. Make sure that you're checking out this show wherever good podcasts can be found, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all those good places. We're also available on Cinescape.media. Make sure you go over there and check out all the great shows that are available on the Cinescape Media Network, as well as all of our social media pages. You can find us everywhere at the Iggles Nest. Make sure you subscribe and follow today. And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for Sean Harrigan and myself. I'll be back with you guys shortly with another episode. Go Birds!